Hi folks, it's Kingsley here. I'm in Debrecen, one of the main cities in Hungary in Eastern Europe, and you can see behind me a very famous church. It's the Reformed Church here in Debrecen. And if I swing around, you'll see church number 2 with the clock at the top. Just see it there, that's the second Reformed Church here in Debrecen. I just want to take a couple of minutes today just to introduce this city to you and to show you why it is such an important one for the kingdom of God. So behind you can see this great church. There was a real move of God here at the time of the Reformation. This is a Reformed church, different from a lot of other cities in Hungary because they didn't accept it, but Debrecen has historically opened itself up to the gospel. So 500 years ago, there was a move of God and many people came to Christ in this place. It's been called Calvin's Rome, or the Geneva of Hungary. And you can see behind me another church. The first one, sometimes they call it the yellow church. The one behind me is the white church. It's a second Reformed church. 400 years after that amazing move of God in the first Reformed church, a young guy from Scotland came here, a young preacher called James Stewart, born in 1910, which is a very significant year. But he became a preacher as a young boy, and in 1934 he was going to be a footballer. In 1934 he came over to Latvia, didn't know anybody, started preaching, and a pastor brought him in and thousands came to the meetings, and there was just an incredible move of God. Then he went to Estonia, Poland, into Czechoslovakia, had a major move of God in Czechoslovakia. He was invited over here to Hungary and he came to Debrecen. And in Debrecen, in that church, he preached, and many, many people came to the Lord. So there's a real move of God here. So much so, he married a lady, and she outlived him, but she came back 40 years later and found that people who'd come to Christ just before the war, with all that they went through, it brought them through the war, and they were still serving him afterwards. So that's the second real move of God in that church in the early 1900s, just before the war, 1934, 1938. Oh my, I'm up at the top of the big church and I'm in the bell tower. This is really, really steep. Can you see this bell? It's massive. If that goes off when I'm in here, I don't know what's gonna go on. Oh, okay. Let me hold this very carefully. I don't know where I'm going. I'm climbing up into some roof. So I made it to the top and the bell didn't go off, thank the Lord. That was the second move in that church. There was a third move of God back in the 70s. And the guys that we've been with this week, or I've been talking to this week, last night, Shandor and Gabor, they were there during that move in the 70s. For about 5 years, there was a major move here in Debrecen. And people came from all over the country. They came to a particular church. I think they called it the Free Church. I don't know where it is. But there was an outpouring of the Spirit of God. People would be left on the floor. People would be speaking in tongues. There was gifts of the Spirit. There were healings. Just a phenomenal move of God that people came over, stayed for the weekend. The meetings went on through the night, and there was a tremendous time for about 5 years in the 70s here in Debrecen, which is open to revival. So this is the church that I'm with this week. Doug Pittman's been coming over here now for several years. They love him in this place. And this is the house of God behind me here. And this church is amazing. Mishi, the pastor, who's not the one that founded the church, but its vision is to raise up young people and send them back with the gospel. So there's been moves of God in this place in Debrecen. Now what's happening is, this is a very famous university town. People come here for education, engineering and other disciplines. Most of the ones that I've met in the church seem to be doctors or something. They come from many countries across the world, but they come here for their 6 years to be educated. But this church is bringing them in and giving them a community, and they're finding the Lord in an amazing way, and He's equipping them to go back to their nation with the gospel. So Debrecen has been a place that as I see as an outsider, historically open to the gospel. Now it's sending the gospel across the world through these young people, and they are amazing. The meetings are incredible. So I just want you to pray for Debrecen. Pray especially for Doug Pittman, that God will bless him when he comes here. God has given him an open door in this place, and these people love him. So we want to pray that God will bless him in his ministry here in this place. God bless you today. So thank you for praying for me this week. I've had a blast. I've met some amazing people. It really has been tremendous. I've got most of my book done, my new book called The King is Still in the Room. That's nearly finished. So I've been really blessed by being here. But I appreciate your prayers. Go home tomorrow, Saturday, and then next week I'm off to Ireland, the week after back to Romania, just down the road here. So God bless you today. Have a great week.